Gundam.tk presents Kusii Gundam. Hey again everybody, it's Robert184, 2 R's 2 B's from Gundam.tk, which is GundamReviews.net, and today I'm taking a look at something which is very different from the usual models that I'm always taking a look at. This is the Gundam Fix Figuration number 25 in the series, Kusii Gundam, which can also transform into the Penelope. This toy was released in 2005. And I didn't buy it retail, so I don't know what the MSRP is, but I'm going to assume, based on everything we've seen with Gunpla, that it's 5,500 yen when it first came out. Now, with Gundam plastic models, it's pretty easy to get used to them just being continuously reissued, which means you can buy them at the same price today that you could back in the 1980s, and you're never going to have problems getting your hands on them as long as Bandai's done a print run recently. However, with this is a high-quality action figure, as they say, and Fix Figuration GFF was Bandai's best series until the Robot Damashi line really took over. This one is number 25 in the series. You can see it's a Greek letter there. Kusii, people will say it differently in English, I suppose. And the cool thing about the GFF line is that in addition to being designed by Katoki Hajime, which means you can get used to the same kind of decals and markings all over that you're used to, but in addition to it being made by Bandai, you can actually transform the majority of these GFF figures into another Gundam. And the Kusii and the Penelope being twins, or at least related, they certainly make sense that both of these are going to be included in the package. These two mobile suits are actually the stars of Hathaway's Flash, I believe is the way it's usually translated, and it's a series of novels, 3 parts overall, top, middle, and bottom, if you want to put it that way, and it's written by the founder of Gundam, of course, itself, Yoshiyuki Tomino, and that means that it's got some pretty high canon status if you want to look at it that way, or you can just completely ignore it, as it has sadly never been animated. Although with the success of Unicorn, of course, there are a few fans that would love to see this get the OVA treatment, perhaps along with Crossbone, sometime in the future. I won't go into too much detail about the story, except the protagonist is Hathaway Noah, so you've probably seen him in a whole bunch of Gundam stuff before this, the son of Bright and Mirai, and basically he is going to be the protagonist and lead character in the series, despite the fact that he's a terrorist named Mafti, or Mafti, whatever you want to pronounce it as, and the Earth Federation, they're going to come across as the bad guys, and Hathaway is going to end up piloting the Kusii, and you're going to have Rain Aim as his antagonist, or the good guy if you want to look at it that way, piloting the Penelope. Now with these being novels instead of mangas, you're not going to be getting the same amount of visual appeal inside that you would with a comic, which, whether you can read it all or not, is certainly going to give you something interesting to look at. But it's sort of cool because you're going to get some pages here at the beginning. There's the Penelope with its massive flight suit, which is just an absolute beast, probably the largest Gundam of all time. And when you go inside, after you see the table of contents and the introduction, etc., you're going to get some black and white line art here. This is the Kusii Gundam here. It's going to talk about its various weapon points, and then you're going to move on to the Penelope. Again, you can just see how big that flight armor is. It doesn't look very Gundam-y, that's for sure. And then you're going to get into the Messer, which is following up on the Zaku, and the Gustav Karl, which is the evolution of the Jim Jagan line. In the second part, again, you can see the Kusii on the cover there, and it's got some very cool, mysterious, shadowy, terroristy kind of art there on the inside. And when you flip this open, you're going to get a beautiful color splash page here with a painted Penelope, looking very good, very not Gundam colors there, a lot of purple mixed in. We'll see how that comes across on the toy, but it's certainly looking sharp. And as you move on, you get some pictures of Mafti and the other characters. And when you go through this, actually, you're going to see that at the beginning of various chapters, they do actually have art. So it's not a total bust in terms of visuals, if I could actually find one here. Sometimes you're going to see the mobile suits and sometimes it's the characters. But anyway, long story short, it's not as easy to read as a manga. Please run away for 10 seconds if you don't want to hear a spoiler, and I'm just going to show you an image, the last one in the book, and you can go take a look at the plot outline online if you want to see what this is all about. And even though most of you know that I'm crazy about Lead Gundam, so of course I'd like to get this in some sort of representative form to go on my shelf, the main reason that I wanted to get it is just because in G Generation series, especially on Wii, this is my favorite mobile suit. The Penelope is just an absolute monster. It's always my master unit, whether it's piloted by a Shadow Callisto or Amuro Ray movie type, it doesn't really matter as long as you get a new type in there. With a 2 to 10 attacking range, if you play it in the game, you'll probably want to own it in some form or another. Now back to the box itself and the toy, you can see the large series number there. You're going to have the Kusii Gundam all assembled over there, and then it's going to have a whole bunch of parts just floating around it. including a different head there, and that's going to be for the Penelope. You can't build two of them at the same time, you can do one or the other, as you'll see. Sort of cool to see here. The most noticeable thing for me is that the height of this Gundam, 28 meters, and a head height of 26. So with most Gundams coming in the 18-19 meter range, this is going to be an absolute monster. It's going to put the new Gundam to shame, which is just one of the reasons why we'll probably never get it in model form, unless it actually gets animated. Down there, it's going to have a list of all the armaments. There's a whole bunch of them, and you can see it's Greek letter down there and produced by version Ka. Well, without the version. Not too much going on the side, except you can see the name there in English, along with that confusing L and R. Here's all the weapon information, including the pilot's name down there, Mafdi, aka Hathaway Noah. And moving down, it's going to show off its alt form. Here you've got the Odysseus Gundam with the flight unit beside it, and when you put the flight unit on, it becomes the Penelope Gundam. The Kusii Gundam just has all that stuff strapped into its main body, but it's still pretty impressive to see it down here. You're going to have the information, there's all the stats, and you can see the pilot's name down there, Rain Aim. And then over here, it's going to have some pretty looking art, and then some information about Anaheim Electronics building this along in their Greek letter system to go after the new Gundam. And then it's going to talk about which novel it was in, and who the mecha designer was, and who the producer of this whole GFF series is. So now to actually open this up, I have not done this yet. And once you get inside, most of this tape is pretty old looking here. And we can finally open it up, and you're going to get a couple layers here. Spread that out. The base is in the back. That's pretty cool that you're going to get this. Almost looks like a mouse pad underneath, but it's actually just carpet with the old Gundam Katoki face on there. So you're actually going to get 3 layers in total. Here's all the parts that you're going to need for the base, along with the names written on there. These are probably all the weapons that you're going to attach on, and then the main body itself. Here you can see the main body, and I'll compare this in size to a high grade later and a master grade just to show you an idea. 2 beam rifles and the shields there, and you're going to have the larger parts here for the flight unit along with the Penelope's head. Here you can see more flight unit parts and the feet, extra manipulators, and additional weapons and joints even that you're going to be swapping when you go in between these 2 modes. Here are the attachment arms, a couple long and short, and then you're going to get some connecting pieces there, but more importantly is for the GFF line. They've all got this cool white looking base, and it's got the model number on there of the mobile suit and the names of the 2 that you can get there, Pilots Hathaway Noah and Lieutenant Lane Aim, as it says down there. UC 105, which is the year, so this is going to come well after the Unicorn Gundam and the new Gundam, which explains why it's so much larger, and yet much earlier than F91 and the small suits that were to follow. So it's sort of cool that you could actually lay this all out in a UC timeline if you were to buy the whole set. The manual is just a single piece of paper, which is just folded up into 4s, and the first instructions are going to be just how to get this out of the package and put the Kusii Gundam onto the base. Then after that, it shows you how to attach the Kusii Gundam's weapons, and then you can get it into its flight mode, which I wasn't even aware that it had. You can see that the shoulders are sort of flipped up and open, so it's sort of cool that you can do that. And then it's going to tell you how to take it from the Kusii Gundam into the Penelope Gundam, so you can notice that there's a million different parts that are going to get swapped off like that. A whole bunch of parts that are going to get swapped on, and when you do that, it's still not finished on this side. But the other side is going to take care of that once you get the head on. There it is standing on the display base, and if you want to add its weapons, it's just a beam rifle, shield with a beam saber in there, and you can also get it off the ground in its flight mode. The final thing they show is how to turn this into the Penelope's base mode. They don't call it the Odysseus Gundam here, but you're going to take everything off and you're going to be left with a very plain looking Gundam there, which doesn't even bother getting written onto the base itself. But then what you can do is take the flight unit and transform all of that into a massive set of a beast, which sort of looks like a very ugly bird. That's going to use one of the connectors, and you can attach it on there and have the Gundam stand in front of that, I suppose. That's going to wrap up my introduction, and I'm not that used to reviewing toys, so this is going to be a little bit interesting, but stay tuned for the next part where I pop this out of the package and then put it into all of its various incarnations. And anyway, I hope you've all had a chance to find out some more about this, and you can go check it out online. But in the meantime, Robert184 gundam.tk, thanks for watching this and all my other reviews, and we'll see you next time with lots more to come. Bye.